saying that they like my style. Wanna know how I do it? I smile. While you were out there saying hey, hi, hello, I was getting dressed up in shades of yellow.
Hello, welcome to episode 33 of the Lovely Job podcast. I'm Leah Spicer-Pownall, I'm the marketing manager of Miss Bush, and this is...
I'm Emma Marshall, I am the MD of Miss Bush.
And where are you today, Emma?
I am in Barcelona. So I'm in, I'm going to really talk about Barcelona a lot. But I'm currently, we moved from the hotel called the Grand Hyatt, which was on the Avenue Diagonal, which is a 5-star hotel where Jesus Peiro was showing. So Marshy and I wanted to extend our stay. So we've moved over to what's probably that sort of old town part of Barcelona. So I'm in this hotel called the Urban Trafalgar, and it is really cool, but it's one of those rooms that's quite compact. It's a great location, so it'll be 10-15 minutes walk to Barcelona, to the beach. There's most importantly for Marshy, it's about 10 minutes walk to a pub called the George Payne, which is a gigantic Irish sports bar, because apparently tonight there's the equivalent of the FA Cup final is happening, and
wow.
Barcelona are playing Madrid. So I feel like that would be like Manchester United playing Man City in a cup final. I think it's a big, I think there's a lot of ag between those two cities.
Okay. Perfect for Marshy then.
Yeah,
good
perfect
atmosphere.
for Marshy, yeah. And actually, we have been to the George Payne before to watch some football, and it is one of those things. It is a big Irish sports pub, but because it's Spain, it's done a bit better. So the dirty fries are good and that sort of stuff. So I don't know if that's what's in line for us tonight. So anyway, so that's where I'm in Barcelona.
I'm glad you're here this week. Not having to do it by myself again. So we are recording this on Saturday. So if you're listening now on a Monday, we're pre-recording this.
Well, I'm hoping to tack on a couple of days of a city break, because we didn't really have a party for Marshy's birthday. So I'm going to stay on a couple of days longer. The exhibition doesn't finish until tomorrow. So Monday, I'd quite like a sort of an R&R day. So obviously we'll be tuning into the podcast. But I literally, before we talk about fashion, I just have to give a little shout out, because every single retailer that I have spoken to since I have been here listens to the podcast without fail every episode.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. So I think our concept that we might be reaching brides might actually be a bit off. So those people that listen to it. So, and even I saw a shop today, some French stockists of Jesus Peiro that listened to it. But they say that we talk too fast. They try and listen to it in their lunch break, but we talk too fast for them to keep up with it. They have to really concentrate and do it in bits, because we're...
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's...
Oh, that's funny, because I actually discovered the other day that on Spotify you can actually speed things up and listen to them quickly, which I've started doing. I listen to them at 1.5 speed now, so I can actually hear them faster.
Yes. So Jess from Alexander Ann Boutique, which is up sort of north of you somewhere, Derbyshire, I think, she said she listens to it on 1.5. Jackie, who has with her sister Lisa, has a bridal shop in Glasgow called Mel Class. She says she listens to it on the commute. It's the perfect time for the commute.
Oh, lovely.
Emily from Unbridled Boutique in Scotland said she likes to listen to it, and she likes the fact that we're still doing it, whereas most bridal shops only do 3 episodes and then give up.
Yeah.
So
good.
I was like, oh, okay, everybody's listening to it then. So yeah, so I feel like there's quite a lot of shops that I've spoken to that are quite fans. So I don't know
that's good to know.
The takeaway is of that. But I suppose it's quite a good way. I've always been reasonably open and frank about our business and things like that. So I think that's probably comes across well, possibly. I don't know. So, but it's quite nice to know that people are actually listening to it and actually actively didn't tune out after those first couple of episodes, which I think sounds a tiny bit.
Yeah, we were just finding our feet, weren't we?
Stilted, I think I would say the word is. So.
Yeah, I think I've got a bit better at interrupting you and actually talking back to you now.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Well, that's good to know. I think some people said to me that they have it on like in the car and stuff, and it feels like just having a chat with someone. So maybe it's like kind of that community feeling that you're not on your own, and you know you're part of something.
yeah, no, absolutely. And I do think it's I think we all have exactly the same challenges if we have a bridal boutique, whatever the size or whatever the product ranges we serve, we share. So yeah, there I am.
Okay, amazing. Right, we've been promising for weeks now that they were going to do some fashion focused content.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
let's get into it.
So obviously Barcelona Bridal Week is one of the big ones, one of the big kind of dates in the bridal calendar. And so I guess just to explain my relationship with, say, Jesus Peiro, we've been stocking Jesus Peiro for nearly 20 years, so like since 2006. So this has been a stop on our, a part of our calendar for a very, very long time, for 20 years. So basically, my primary reason for attending Barcelona is to see Jesus Peiro, to see the full collection up close and personal. So you can kick the tires and you can actually see the dresses. I've put like snips of like video footage into Dropbox. So I know that you're going to be putting together a reel for people quite soon so they can see some of the sneak peeks of some of the new dresses. But yeah, there was so I would say my primary stop is to go and see Jesus Peiro. So basically we arrived on Wednesday quite late, had a drink on the roof terrace, 19 floors above Barcelona, which is the most incredible view from the Hyatt there. And it's like a 5-star hotel. And I was like, oh, this is going to be like swanky. And all the staff in the lobby were really good. By the time we get to the 19th floor, man, they were like surly and eye rolling. So I was like, oh, okay. You get the order wrong, and I tell you you've got the order wrong, and you just eye roll at me. It's like, okay, good. But I was, for all the eye rolling in the world, the view is incredible. Like, you could just basically see out to sea. You can see all the mountains all around Barcelona, and just got the most incredible panoramic views over the city. So I could deal with a bit of sniffiness. They did have cold whispering angel and some of the nice dry rosé. So we did that.
It, then.
Yeah, and we met up on that first night for dinner with Chloe.
Yes.
Keenan, who is a model that we've worked with absolutely loads. So she's out here at the moment. She always works a lot with Eliza Jane House. So she's out here showing their new collection. But so we are working with her and Jesus Peiro to create a dress for her wedding in October, which I'm going to, which is at Hotel Excelsior in Venice. Very smart hotel. So we were been talking all things wedding related with her. So that was like a kind of model fashion moment that's happening there. So we did that. That was my first one. So, and then on the Thursday morning, I nipped over really primarily to see the Sophie Voila catwalk show, but ended up having to sit through one because they had two by like a Polish designer, which was kind of cool in places. Like some of the frilly things were cool, and then it descended rather into see-through lace and very plungy dresses, which is not really my cup of tea.
I liked that they all wore hats. I thought it was very cool. They had hats on.
Yeah, the styling was
I like
good.
to bring back a hat.
The music, I don't know if you actually listened to the music. Music was terrifying. It was quite ominous, like a stumping kind of like quite, sort of Slavic march all the way through
it. Was.
Well, it was a bit march. But so yeah, I mean, I think the thing is when you come to somewhere like this, you're trying to get like the mood of the moment, and see what globally people are looking at. And you realize when you see what globally people are looking at like this, like that, I honestly, I'd probably have to get Wojtek or something to tell me how to pronounce her name. But that would be like not us, but it doesn't mean I don't appreciate it for what it is. And they certainly had a point of view, and I thought all the kind of like super ruffled things were giving a lot of Met Gala kind of like fabulousness about them. But do I think that anyone would wear them? Not our clients, I don't think. So I did sit through a lot of ruffles. Took one for the team there, and then we got to the Sophie Voila show, which I've also now seen that on so on the catwalk, which is much more stagey and well presented. And then we actually I saw it today on the stand, so you can get up close and touch the fabrics and look and see what you actually want to buy. But I've always had a soft spot for Sophie and Voila. They're not like a huge brand for us. They're something very discretionary, and they are very, they just play with the silhouette. So again, there was some beautiful things today. So my favorite dress from the current season is called Karen, which is that very straight lined crepe dress with no waist in it. And they had another beautiful dress along that same kind of line, which was like straight, no waist, but made out of 3 tiers of pleated chiffon, which I absolutely adored. There was a really cute sort of empire line satin dress. So again, no waist, fitting in really neatly around the bust, but then just coming out, but out and volumey and no waist, but very cool. It just looks like a completely just different take on someone's silhouette.
Yeah.
There was another cool little dress with a mini cape that sat over the top of it, which I loved as well. And that was a sort of almost a 3-part look. So it had a dress and then a kind of chiffon underskirt underneath it. So when you took the chiffon underskirt, you'd be left with a kind of midi dress, mid-axi probably, and then a little cape to go over the top. So all very hard lined and sharp and clean, and so that was really, really fun to look at, and still got to share. But what was interesting with them was they had it unplugged. There was no phone cameras or anything, so I've really got to get the feedback whilst in I've consulted with the judges, but the final decision is mine. But so I literally still have to show it to the team to make sure that they're not like, "What are you doing? And I don't buy that. No, you're completely wrong," and off. But when I saw them today, there's a little part of this giant exhibition, which I do find quite challenging, giant exhibition centres. I think given our greater understanding of how environment plays on nerves now, with all the definitions and diagnoses of neurodiversity, the sound, the light, the strobe, the lack of daylight, the eyeball assault, it's all a lot. So there's quite a little quiet corner where smaller brands like Sophie and Voila show, and that was really interesting to see lots of other really cool Spanish brands in there. But I don't think there's room in my shop for more than one ultra edgy, ultra modern, like distorted silhouette brand. But I think what I would do if we're doing a sort of a reel, or I don't know if we do put it in show notes or something, I'd love to give a shout out to people like Marty and Alice Rueda and people like that were really good, but they just don't have the capacity to take more than one far edgier than Jesus Peiro brand. So it is kind of, it was really good to do that. I also got to see the Honor dresses, which are the New York label, which I've loved for ages. So really super delicate cage corsets in fine organzas, incredibly sheer. There was super trendy Korean buyers buying that on their stand today. But again, I looked at it and just thought, no, I love this, but there has to be a point where you're like, I love it, but do I love putting wasting maybe a flat deposit on that? Because if it doesn't sell, it doesn't sell, and it's a lot of money. But
we have had plenty of like really cool like independent labels that that you've loved so much, and then the samples have just ended up just being sold off, haven't they? Because no one buys them.
And that is kind of slightly heartbreaking, but it doesn't mean that I don't really love their work. What's kind of annoying is they had like all the really big name designers like Elie Saab, Victorian, Rolf, Vivienne Westwood, even Jenny Packer, literally, were like put behind an entry only thing. So you just couldn't go and have a look at those. And I was
my entire feed yesterday when I opened Instagram was all Vivienne Westwood. Every single account was posting about Vivienne Westwood.
Yeah, do you know what I would say controversially? I think Vivienne will be turning in her grave. I think seeing Vivienne Westwood's name in the Barcelona Bridal Week exhibition halls just felt very wrong. It felt like, and also like Katie Rocco, friend of the podcast and friend of Bush, who works for Country Life, and she also freelances for the wedding edition. She said that she went to there and it was like really beautiful surroundings. The clothes were very Vivienne Westwood, but she said she had no idea why most people were there. Most people were just taking selfies of them saying that they were there. They weren't buyers, they were just influencers or people that drafted in there. And actually, I don't think with that huge collection and a wholesale stand, that is like taking the brand somewhere very different. They used to do 1 or 2 pieces. And I think that one of the big tenets of Vivienne Westwood's kind of thing, which is, buy less, buy better quality. And basically what they're doing now, I think, is just adding to the noise. And I also saw like on I was on their Instagram feed the other day, they had said about one of the dresses, they'd modified the skirt to be more wearable or more flattering or something. I was like, whoa, that feels bad to me. That feels like you're making a much more commercial brand. And if you're really pitching it at loads more people, then you've got to take it out of London production. You've got to put it in a big production space somewhere else, which doesn't seem the right thing. But anyway, obviously the show had really high production values. I mean, there was really beautiful pieces in it. I really appreciated they picked one old model, but I don't think that the true strident voice that Vivienne was, and that kind of commitment to values, even when they were making her highly unpopular at a lot of times. I don't think the brand is going in a completely different direction. And I think her granddaughter has like distanced herself from the brand with that kind of thing in mind. Saying that, it's a fantastic British name, so it's quite good in a designer in a designer room to see a really big British name in there. But I think for me, I'm not like I would say I'd be like, yeah, please, I'll have the dresses, thank you very much. But I'm not sure that is so I know that loads of people did like say that, but I was like, yeah. And also lots of people commenting that they weren't there. And I just think like people like the Lane and things like that, they just want that, they've also like picked up like loads of Yolan Chris imagery. And the Yolan Chris imagery is fantastic. They actually are a really good company. Design wise, they're incredible. Again, somebody that we worked with in the past. But insanely difficult to work with. So really not geared up to do wholesale to independent stores. So there are people whose work I love and adore, but somebody like the Lane or the Wed, they don't have to care whether or not that's actually a meaningful kind of look that can actually be translated into commercial viability. It's like they're chaos. Do you know what I mean? And it's like the Victor and Rolf are showing there a lot of money behind closed doors and all that sort of stuff. And we all know that the Victor and Rolf dresses are made by Justin Alexander, who are in one of the other exhibition halls with giant stands. And I had a lot of time for Justin because we talked on that episode when I kept saying global, whatever it was, geopolitics, about how much I appreciated him being very frank and straightforward about this, where things are made. So you have got that kind of odd thing at the moment with some of the brands where I think the label in itself, rather than the actual true craft, is actually on display. Do you know, it's like having a Gucci bag and definitely knowing that you've got one. So anyway, that's aside. So yeah, the feeds were full of that. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's it's great, and it's probably great for Barcelona Bridal Week. But I'd say that the rest of the fashion shows if you looked down the list, most of the rest of them weren't fantastic brands. They were quite straightforward mass market brands. So I think they really did need to throw the kitchen sink at that. It's my opinion. Anyway, so that's and then basically what we did with Jesus Peiro this year, they showed a fashion show in this hotel really lovely space. And so I've made my selection now for what we're going forward with for the new season. And I would say, like, I feel like last year there was a definite mood. There was a sea change. There was drop corsets. There was different looks and strong design changes. I would say this year would be a consolidation. So I don't think anybody needs to worry if they choose something from this season's collection or next season's collection, because I don't see that hasn't been a sudden silhouette change. If I had to put out a couple of trends, I would say that we had far less leg splits in the collections, fewer sleeves of any description, which I wasn't very happy about because I love a sleeve. There was some really interesting and pretty new textured taffetas and things like that. Almost, so there's the texture, the simplicity is still there. There's some really like a couple of my favorite pieces, like some lacquer satin. So like the big selling dress, and the one that everyone wears differently, 2507, the beautiful fluid satin dress. So that has been, the fabric from that has been really popular, and the shape of that is really brilliant. So Jesus Peiro have created like a slightly stiffer fabric version of that dress with a really incredible new, almost looks like a sort of knit pattern. Anyway, it's I can't quite describe the texture, but it's really fantastic. So they've kind of used that there, but then they've also taken that soft fluid lacquer satin that everybody really loves, that slipper satin, and have moved it into an oversized blazer, really lovely trousers, that kind of stuff. So yeah, so there's some really nice incarnations of that. And it doesn't maybe feel so revolutionary, but like, the bodice shape that we love, that's on, 2518, it's on 2316, it's, 2207 bodice shape. So that they've given that a little kind of spin as well, and created it with an inbuilt like choker neck, which is really clever, and done it in a beautiful plissé chiffon. So again, just a really interesting texture. The neck scarf, obviously, the Nangler.
The Nangler.
The Nangler's all over the place, basically. But we knew the Nangler would be all over the place. So, yeah. So that's, and also they'd put in some really things that I just loved, more separate. So you can, when having more separates, and so there was a really cute, like, paler neck, sparkly top. With a short sleeve. So again, it's kind of like sparkles seem a real anathema to us, but this bold little polar neck shape teamed with like a fluid satin skirt or trousers, it was just a really great addition. And there was a long sleeve version of it as well. So I think the thing is, it's like, I know that we can build with these pieces, like new and interesting looks, and that like flipping the look from day to night, which has gone down like super well with people. And there's, and again, there's been a couple of new, what I love, that sort of like 50s princess look, basically. So beautiful brocades, cinched waists, giant skirts, ever so simple, but, timeless. So yeah, really, really good collection. They'd also got, again, it doesn't sound like new news, but just an exciting little edit of like overtops. So that, again, you can keep flipping looks. So you don't end up as a sort of Stepford wife. You can have your own look, and you can, and you don't necessarily have to invest in 2 dresses, but you can go in and out of things, which is really, really nice. So yeah, just lovely. But like, I wasn't like, with like last year, there was like, woof, like big, that sleeve, woof, that bodice line. Do you know what I mean? So I think it was what I would call a consolidation. And I mean, I drifted around. I've been around all of the halls and looked at all of the stands, and I would see that as a, when you look at the big manufacturing labels, you can see that they've had a good look round and copied every designer's bestsellers. So there is, that aspect of it. So again, it is the thing that has to push the designers forward into moving their collections on. They can't just, rest on just flipping bodices and skirts around one season to the next. But yeah, it was really good. Today I also went to Divine Atelier, which was our new introduction last year. So
Yep.
again, it was like I was so excited about introducing them last year, and was have been delighted about how they've gone down. They've really like hit a sweet spot with our clients. Actually, they do sort of look a little bit Westwoodian, a bit 90s, no, not gonna lie, but at least they're still made in a family business in a very like traceable space. And but yeah, they had I bought loads more beautiful, that silk, the silk slipper satin that they do with the silk lining. So everybody they look fabulous on, they're beautifully corseted, but as people slip into them, they feel very special and very good. So I have got, again, fewer leg splits from them, but there was a really cool ball gown with a kind of high-low, asymmetric high-low. So for people that want to get their legs out, you can still always get your legs out. And then another low-waisted corset dress where they've got a front bustle on it. So rather than back bustling the train, you front bustle it so that you can have, effectively, you turn your full length, like puffball ball gown from the day into a short puffball ball gown for the evening.
Oh,
It's really
cool.
cute, yeah.
I'm just
really
looking
nice.
at the sneak peeks that you've put in the Dropbox for me now.
Yeah,
It
it
looks
is.
amazing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of embroidery on them this time as well. There's like that
Yeah.
corset covered in all the leaves. It's
I
quite
do.
nice.
Yeah, I'm still a way off being convinced that people should have see-through corsetry for a wedding. I literally do love it. Do you know what I mean? But again, I can. I have 30 years of my clients and my clients' mums in the back of my head going, it looks like underwear. It looks like Madonna. So I have to get, no, you've got to meet your own audience and know your own audience, because I think I feel like everybody would think it must be the most exciting thing in the world just to be surrounded by two giant exhibition halls of stands of wedding dresses, but it's overwhelming.
Yep.
And if you're looking at stuff, partly like some of the giant spangly dresses that are on display. When people say, oh, is it a bit of meringue, and they've got a really tasteful, like pure silk pleated skirt, and I'm like, you haven't got a clue.
You've got no idea.
You haven't seen a meringue until you've actually walked the halls in Barcelona.
Well, like, did you see Jules Sparkles' finale look in Drag Race? That was a meringue. It was enormous. It's like, it took up the whole stage.
But that's like, that's meringue. These are, so but really quite incredible creations. I think I also put something in Dropbox, like where I just like videoed something on the stat of somebody's. I was just like, I'd never buy it. And also the other thing that I find quite mysterious is like, there's so many stands, like, and so many companies providing long, sparkly sequin dresses. And I'm like, when was the last time anyone went out in a long sequin dress? Ever?
Oh, I'm just looking at this Dropbox, and there is one that's like a yellow cloud, basically, that fills up this whole platform.
Yeah, I know. I just had to take. I've no idea who did that. I was just like, that's very Bush, and it's very Rihanna Goes to the Met. Do you know what I mean? But I can't think for one reason why it was there. But yeah, so so it's been good to to get out and just have a little look and see what's happening. I would say, like with the Divine stuff as well, it's not going to be very noticeable to the untrained eye, but again, they've we've had that the Lola corset, which has done really, really well. So many copies of that around the place. Oh yeah, it's bloody shameless, really. Do you know what I mean? But what are you going to do? It's like when we go to the beach on Monday, there'll be a load of people selling Prada handbags on the pavement. Do you know what I mean? If you're Prada and you can't stop people copying your handbags, you're not going to be able to stop. And at Sophie Voila, they asked us to put their phones down, and everybody did. And Marsha's like, look at that bloke over there. And there was a guy just filming, literally had his camera tilted to the fashion show. And I was like, mate. I've got no proof of this, but he looked like the sort of person that probably does own a factory as well. So, and I'm like, of all the things that you're going to copy, I don't know that Sophie Voila would be one for mass market. So
No, definitely not.
it is, it's what it is though. So yeah, so it's really good. I mean, like these delivery times for these for brides, we'll probably start getting some of the Jesus Peiro stuff through sort of like maybe early July to sort of to probably early August when they close for their kind of Spanish 3 weeks off. And I think we're probably going to get maybe a couple of pieces of Divine Atelier this side of the summer. But obviously, everyone goes into their like really big kind of production like peak at this point. So it's quite hard to get the stuff out. So the rest of the collection should be arriving by the end of September, I'm hoping. So that's
So
what
we usually have the big trunk show, don't we, in autumn? So that's kind of when we only have them all by then, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I did talk
September,
to
October.
Mara about maybe doing a Divine event because, I didn't really know how they were going to perform last year. So I would say that they're gonna garner brand fans, and I think we will probably arrange something so that we can do that sort of normal like content creation alongside things where clients can actually try the new stuff and buy it at the same time. Do you know what I mean? It's just I think that would be really good to do. So yeah, it was, as I say, I would just like say to everybody that's like ordered already, nothing has come in this season as far as I could see that would make you go, damn it, I wish I'd waited. But it's just a kind of lovely evolution. And I think the drop wastes are there, but so are the natural wastes, and so like on the Sophie Voila, so extreme high wastes. So it's definitely like a hard job as a buyer to be like not to try and be something for everyone and just to stick to what but at the same time I suppose I'm always looking for something that makes me so devastatingly kind of wow that you can't wait to get it into your business. But I don't know how they do it every year though. It's like reinventing the white dress every year.
Every single year.
Yeah. But yes, it's very nice.
Amazing, exciting. I can't wait to see it all.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen some of it in the previews, but
you've got some I asked Marshy to take some video footage today. I was at Eliza Jane Howe's stand today. Obviously Chloe was working on the stand because she's the model that they use all of the time, and she actually works really closely with the team there. And they got like loads of incredible beaded kimonos. I mean, I've always loved the team there and I love their dresses, but I just don't restocked them and they just didn't really work for us. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's such a shame because I love them so much. But the beaded kimonos they had today, I was like, Marshy, right, I'm going to put some of these beaded kimonos on. Can you take some video footage of me? It's so bad. He's so terrible. I just go, well, you wanted video? I've taken photos. I looked at the photos. I look like a cretinous version, like a Gollum. Do you know what I mean? In a cape. And I was like, what are you doing when you're actually pressing record on this? I look horrific. So anyway, if you could just slice up some of his videos together with me flouncing around in some of their kimonos, then that would be great. But I mean, you got your work cut out with the footage there. I know. You might be able to get a couple of little snips of it. I didn't imagine what a fashion influencer I could be if I had a husband that actually knew.
An Instagram husband, I know.
One at the end of an iPhone camera from the other. Do you know what I mean?
No, Joe can't do it either. It's just the angles, just the worst.
The angles today, I literally have no idea what he did. I think he'd maybe look like Mr. Incredible. Do you know what I mean? I was like, just the looming torso with no legs. I was like, fuck, how did you even do that? Weird. I know, literally. You would have just died because basically, if you were here with me, we could create so much content. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I'll come with you next time as long as it's not on Felix's birthday.
Yeah.
I couldn't. He was like, he said to me, "Oh, you could have gone." And I was like, "I couldn't. I can't go away on your birthday."
I think it's. I don't think it's like. I think it's the same time. So his birthday is the 25th, and yeah.
Yeah,
it's going to be covering his birthday.
It's always
next
the same,
year.
isn't it?
Yeah. So you can just like
take him with me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is the only thing is just like surprise, you're all going to Barcelona. Do you know what I mean? And then you could send him and Joe up the old, the Sagrada Familia or something, and then you could do content creation. Basically, it would be a way of expensing a family holiday.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I did
So,
feel very jealous because you were sending me all these clips and I was at Warhammer World.
yeah, you should
Not
be.
very glamorous.
No, I would not be ever be jealous of you going to Warhammer World. I used to leave my children in Warhammer as like almost like a creche when I used to go shopping. Like, right, you just stay there and look at the Warhammer things.
Yeah, you could do. It was the
Yeah.
same kind of experience though, like in the exhibition area, no windows, it's just all spotlights, and I had to have a sit down. I was like, this is horrible. I feel like I'm like in a dungeon right now.
Yeah. Also, the other thing today is like obviously there's still a lot of smokers in the world, and so but everybody just goes literally 2 meters outside the whole doors to smoke, and it's like, why can I smell cigarette smoke everywhere? And it's like that's why.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. But yeah, no, it's good. It was good. So I would say like I wouldn't be like everybody hold your on to your hats because here's a new thing that's going to wipe the floor with everything else. Do you know, it's still very familiar. And you know, and I think that, you know, with a sort of kind of, you know, with a small one shop thing like I've got, then it's like that's as much as you can do is see that your really strong labels have been really strong. But doesn't mean I really don't appreciate loads of other things. Yeah,
That's good. I am going to have to ask you to try and get a photograph of yourself in Barcelona for me to use for the cover image for this. So that's your challenge.
I can get a picture. Like, yeah,
get one nice photo that I can.
Well, I mean, we're in one of those places. I've got like a really beautiful little roof terrace here, like, and there's a roof terrace with a pool. So if I take my camera upstairs, what I need to do is put Marshy in the position I need to stand in, line up the shot, and then get him to do exactly the same thing. But I have no idea why he presses the camera just like going like that.
You need to take the tripod with you next time. You've got the tripod that you bought. Take that with you next time, then you can just set it up, stand in front of it.
It was already a pain in the ass bringing the laptop on the plane. So yeah, I'd be like really, really happy for you to come because then you could just bring all the kits and I could just swan around like a massive diva having content creation moments. So yeah,
I know, just following you around.
I got interviewed by Emily from Unbridled yesterday, so I don't know when she's going to put that out. She was asking all sorts of people that she thought had good opinions about things, me being one of them.
Nice.
Gemma from Halo and Web being another, like questions. So I don't know whether she's doing that as a little behind the scenes thing, but she was like, what gives you the ick in bridal design? I'm like, buttons to the end of a train. So and then some other more meaningful and searching questions, but yeah, it was really good. It's so nice to just catch up with people. Do you know what I mean? Like you know, and also like one particular retailer has been, you know, gravely ill, and it was really amazing to see her. Do you know? And it isn't, you know, and she was at the dinner last night. It's like, you know, we've got you. You are safe here. If you need to go and do so, you know, it feels very family like. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, even though these are women that you see once in a blue moon, it's just nice to know if you needed to. You'd be like, is it just me? But yeah. So yes, that's what I'm doing. I will get a picture.
Amazing.
I'll keep updating it so that you can do more really things.
Yeah. So we will sign off, I guess. I'm confused because it's not Monday right now.
I know, it's very wrong, isn't it? Well, I'll go to the roof terrace right now, get myself a glass of cava to balance my chakras from last night's indulgence, and then I will try and get a really cool roof terrace picture. There's a pool up there as well. Marshy said that, the girl said it's not heated, and Marshy's just been up there to have a look, and he's going, yeah, if we both got in it would be full. I feel like I'm not feeling that skinny at the moment, so like water displacement probably would be like the what water.
Oh,
Love to all my trade girlfriends, listeners. Thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for listening. Okay, and we will see you next Monday.
See you next Monday. Bye.
Bye.
You'd like to know, wouldn't you? You'd like to know, wouldn't you? You'd like to know, wouldn't you? You'd like to know, wouldn't you?